Jared Thompson was the guy every man wanted to be and every woman wanted to be with. He was the life of the party, the king of late nights, the name that everyone whispered in awe and admiration. At 28, Jared had it all: a fleet of luxury cars, a mansion that could house a small country, and money flowing faster than he could even spend it. He was tall, charming, and with that effortless confidence that made everyone look his way when he walked into a room. To him, life was one big party, endless celebration. He would host parties that people would talk about for weeks, where champagne flowed and the music never stopped. There were always beautiful women around him, laughing at his jokes, leaning into his whispers, and vying for his attention desperately. Jared knew how to make a woman feel like she was the only one in the world, at least for that night. But as soon as the sun came up, he would be on to the next lady, always craving the thrill of something new. And there was never a shortage of women. Women practically lined up for the chance to be with Jared Thompson, even if just for a fleeting moment. However, there was one little principle that Jared always lived by. A lot of his friends and even girlfriends were very unconscious about this fact. He made a rule that he would only carry a woman when she is on her period. Yes, of course, this made a lot of women feel a bit uneasy at first. But when the man is the one saying that that is what he wants, and he is even sweet talking and spending money on the lady, why not? They never refused. He said it was what he liked. He liked it that way. It was his fetish. So the woman never refused. He would only carry women home when they were on their periods, and nobody ever objected to it. The women never even saw it as a big deal. Jared's friends always joked about his collection. He had a phone full of contacts, each woman listed by a little detail that he remembered by her. Amy from the yacht party, brown-haired Sarah, the red dress. His life was filled with them, beautiful strangers who would always show up at his doorstep just for a glimpse into his glittering world. And Jared reveled in it, basking in the attention, the thrill, the excitement that came from being the city's most eligible bachelor. But his charm didn't end with women. Men as well wanted to be him, or at least be close to him. Jared was the guy who could get you past any velvet rope into the hottest club, the VIP sections, and in with the right crowd. Even people who didn't like him couldn't deny his magnetism. He was as much an enigma as he was a superstar in his social circle. He played hard, spent harder, and had no plans of slowing down. Every Friday night, his penthouse would fill up with laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses. He would throw his arm around whoever he'd chosen that evening, looking over the city with a drink in his hand, thinking he'd figured out the secret to life. He had money, freedom, and an endless supply of attention and affection. What more could anyone want? But then, things took a strange turn. One night, after yet another wild party, one of the girls he'd been casually seeing, Melissa, noticed something odd. She was gathering her things from Jared's room when she stumbled into a small hidden door in his study, slightly ajar. She couldn't help herself. Curiosity got the best part of her. When she peeked inside, she saw shelves lined with small sealed bags labeled with dates. It was strange, almost clinical, and she quickly pulled back, feeling uneasy. Melissa didn't confront Jared right away. Instead, she shared what she had seen with her friends, who in turn shared with someone else. Before long, whispers about Jared's hidden room started spreading, with people speculating about what a man like him could be hiding. Maybe it was a collection of watches, maybe old photos. Everyone had a theory, but no one had a real answer. And somehow, Jared had not gotten wind of these rumors. As the rumors grew, so did the mystery around Jared. People began noticing strange behavior. His closest friends caught glimpses of him acting out of character, leaving parties early, disappearing in the middle of the night. He'd brush off questions with his usual charm, laughing it off as just business. But those closest to him could sense something was off. Then, one night, it all came crashing down. A group of friends had gathered at Jared's mansion for a casual evening when one of the guys, a bit tipsy and curious, decided to snoop around his house. He had heard about the rumors about Jared's mysterious room and wanted to see it for himself. After a few tries, he managed to unlock the hidden door, revealing rows of sealed bags stacked neatly on shelves. The laughter and chatter from the party downstairs faded away as everyone gathered around, staring in shock at the contents of the room. Someone grabbed a bag, opened it, and recoiled immediately, frowning his face. There was no denying what it was. It was a used sanitary pad. The room was full of them, and each was labeled, each carefully preserved. The room went silent, everyone staring at Jared as he returned to find his secret exposed. For the first time in his life, Jared was lost for words. There was no charm, no smooth talk, no quick escape. People started asking questions, a mix of horror and morbid curiosity in their voices. But Jared could barely respond. His friends, his lovers, the people he had dazzled and entertained, they all looked at him with a mixture of pity and disgust. The news spread like wildfire. Soon, every headline in town was splashed with Jared's face, detailing his strange obsession with sanitary pads. The glamorous lifestyle, the endless parties, the line of women, all of it had crumbled in an instant. No one wanting anything to do with him anymore. Brands cut ties with him, clubs banned him, and his friends vanished from his life. The playboy who once ruled the city's social scene was now its most infamous outcast. Jared's life unraveled faster than he could have ever imagined. The moment his secret room was exposed, the scandal spread like wildfire. People weren't just shocked, they were disgusted, outraged, and even scared. Because who does that? Why would a wealthy, popular man like Jared be collecting used sanitary pads? It was too disturbing to ignore, and the whole community was in an uproar. Jared, once the center of admiration, was now the target of people's anger and suspicion. Unable to face the backlash, Jared disappeared overnight. For weeks, no one saw him. Rumors flew around. Some people thought that he had fled the country, while others believed that he was hiding somewhere in the city, waiting for the storm and the rumors to settle down. On one particular evening, he was finally spotted in a rundown part of the city by a local shopkeeper. The man couldn't believe his eyes. Jared, the once charismatic party king, now looked ragged, with an overgrown beard, clothes that were torn and very dirty. The shopkeeper didn't hesitate. He quickly called a few people and spread the word that Jared had been found. Within minutes, a crowd gathered, fueled by anger and disgust. People closed in on him, demanding answers. Jared tried to escape, but the crowd was relentless, blocking every path that he tried to move to. They grabbed him, and fists flew as he was being punched, pushed, and kicked, unable to defend himself. After several minutes of relentless beating, Jared, bruised and broken, finally gave in, gasping for breath as he raised his hand in surrender. All right, I'll tell you everything. Please just stop," he panted, his voice cracking with desperation. The crowd went silent, hanging on to his every word in anticipation as he began to explain. In a hoarse whisper, he admitted that he had been visiting a juju priest, a very powerful one. The man had promised Jared wealth, influence, and all the success that he could ever want. But there was a price. The priest demanded used sanitary pads, each one representing a piece of life and energy that he could harness to keep Jared's riches flowing. Every time Jared felt like his luck was slipping away, he would return to the priest with more of his collection, securing his fortune through dark and supernatural means. He said that the priest told him that the sanitary pad was the easiest way to get a woman's blood. And of course, you might wonder, why would he need a woman's blood? Yes, the juju priest said that using the woman's blood could help him perform certain rituals that would transfer life's destiny and fortunes that could have moved to those people onto Jared instead. So basically, he was taking a bit of their life, a bit of their destiny, a bit of their future prosperity that could have come to these individual ladies and giving it to Jared all at once. That was why he liked to move around with ladies only when they were on their periods, so that he could sneak in their pads or tampons depending on which ones they were using. This was how Jared had amassed all of the wealth and money that he had acquired in his life. Because he was born a poor man and he did not want to remain that way. He was desperate to seek for a way to change his life and to change his story. So he got desperate and consulted a juju priest, which is what led him to his current situation. The crowd was stunned, and the mixture of fear and revulsion rippled through them as they processed his confession. The women around them were scared. They began to hold themselves as they shivered, realizing what had been happening, realizing that Gerard had been using them for supernatural purposes, realizing that part of their future and destiny and prosperity had been transferred to this other man that they thought they were using. Jared Thompson, the man that they had once idolized, was a ritualist. His wealth and charm had been acquired through sinister dealings with a juju priest. The crowd's anger intensified. The men in the crowd got more and more angry. Feeling furious and feeling betrayed, they beat him up once more, but this time with the resolve to teach him a lesson that he will never forget. "Don't you ever come back to this community, Jared," someone spat. "If we see you again, you will regret it." And with that, they dragged him to the edge of town, bruised and barely able to stand, and left him there, a broken shell of the man he once was. Word spread quickly, and no one was willing to take him in. Jared had become an outcast, exiled from the life he had built, stripped of everything he had once taken for granted. As weeks turned into months, Jared roamed from place to place, finding himself in small, forgotten towns where no one knew his face. He lived simply, working odd jobs for cash. He wasn't able to contact his juju priest anymore because he couldn't return back to that society. Humbled and haunted by the consequences of his actions, he tried to now live an upright life. His nights that were once filled with glamour and indulgence were now cold and lonely, with nothing but the memories of his old life to keep him company. Over time, the community he left behind moved on. People stopped talking about Jared Thompson, and the scandal faded into just another tale of the dangers. But the women that had slept with him, the women that had been with him during their periods, never forgot about it. It made them very scared. It made them regret all of their actions, and because of that, they were always very skeptical to follow any other man home. Jared's former friends and lovers found new circles, new parties, and new faces to admire, but they carried the lesson his story had held behind, that some secrets, no matter how tempting, always came at a price. That not everything that glittered was gold. Not everyone that they admired and was jealous about because of their materialistic possessions was really someone that they wanted to be like. They all began to be more content with their lives and what they had, and decided that they were no longer going to be moved by fancy glittering things. As for Jared, shame never let him return back to that society. He was embarrassed and he was scared of what would happen to his life if he ever showed up there. He found another smaller city where he decided to start trading and learning small handworks to help to sustain himself and rebuild his life again.